Recording.
Blow the trumpet in Zion, sound an alarm. Sound an alarm on my Kodesh mountain. For Yahuwah comes to reclaim all that is his. It's a day of darkness and gloom. Darkness hiding the sun and the moon. So sound an alarm. Go, my children, go into your room, shut the door. Hide yourselves for a little while, till the displeasure is o'er. Behold, Yahweh is coming to punish the wicked, to punish the wicked. Sound an alarm. The day of Yahuwah is near, and out of the darkness appears a people many and strong, to right every wrong. They leap over mountain tops, mighty people in battle array. The whole world trembles before them, even the heavens will shake. Yahuwah shall utter his voice before his great Kadeshim. His great Kadeshim. So turn to him now, repent, Teshuvah, your whole heart to him. Who knows, he might turn behind and leave a baraka behind. Then you shall eat and you'll be satisfied, and you shall praise his name forevermore.
Shalom. Thank you, Sister Shoshana, for that great song. I'm Brother Doug. That's my sister Shoshana, who just sang her original scripturally inspired song, The Day of Yahuwah. Today is the last great day of the Feast of Tabernacles, so we're going to be doing right now a little bit of a Torah portion, and later on, if you stay tuned with us, we're going to be doing another study about the last great day. So after this study, please stay tuned for that study. So right now, we're going to do a little bit of a Torah portion. We're going to be reading Bereshith, Genesis chapter 20. I'm going to be reading from the Aramaic Targum manuscript of the Pentateuch. Anyone that's interested, when this video gets uploaded on Facebook or YouTube, I can give you the link to study for yourself. So this is the Targum on targum.info. So here we go, chapter 20. And Abraham migrated from there to the southern land and dwelt between Rakam and Hagrah, and he sojourned in Gerar. And Abraham said of Sarah, his wife, she is my sister. So again, this is where I guess Abraham's afraid of Abimelech, the king of Gerar. So now he's telling her to say that she's his sister for his protection. I'm guessing he's doing this again with a different king. And Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. So this is the danger here for Abraham to be saying this. Now Gerar is going to think she's not married to Abraham, and he's going to think that Sarah has not been betrothed or anything. And the word came from the presence of Yahuwah to Abimelech in a dream of the night, and said to him, Behold, thou die on account of the woman whom you have taken, and she a man's wife. So basically he's saying you're going to die because, I'm paraphrasing right now, you're going to die because you have committed adultery. You have taken another man's wife. But Abimelech had not come near her. So I guess this is more of a warning from the father. This is more a warning by Yahuwah. You better not have taken her. And he said, Yahuwah, will thou also kill the innocent people? Did he not say to me, she is my sister? So basically Abimelech is saying to Yahuwah, why are you going to kill someone that's innocent? Why are you going to strike down someone that hasn't done anything wrong? Because Abraham told Abimelech that Sarah is his sister. So he assumed that she was not married to Abraham. And she also said, he is my brother. In the rectitude of my heart and the cleanness of my bands, I have done this. And Yahuwah said to him in a dream, it is also manifest to me that in the integrity of your heart you have done this, and I have also refrained you from sinning before me, meaning Yahuwah has kind of overridden his free will there and made sure that he didn't come into Sarah. So Yahuwah made sure that he didn't do it. Therefore, I have not permitted you to approach to her. And now return the married wife. Return his wife, for he is a prophet. So now Yahuwah is calling Abraham a prophet. And he will pray for you, and you shall live. So this is interesting. Abraham's like a kind of intercessor here. This is kind of interesting, a little foreshadowing for Yahusha here. And you shall live. But if you will not return, and her is in parentheses here, that means that it wasn't in the original manuscript. The English translator added it in there. That's why there's a parentheses around the word her. So if you will not return, now that dying you shall die. And you and all who are yours, meaning everything you own. Your manservants, your maidservants, how many wives Abimelech might have had. And Abimelech arose in the morning and called all his servants and spake all these words before him. And the men feared greatly. And Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, what has you done to us? And in what have I sinned against you? And you should have brought upon me and upon my kingdom a great sin. Works which are not worthy to be done has you done with me. And Abimelech said to Abraham, what you saw and you did this thing. And Abraham spake, because I said, perhaps the fear of Yahuwah is not in this place. So this is kind of interesting rebuttal here. He's kind of saying, lest the fear of Yahuwah is not in this land, meaning that they don't honor the law of not committing adultery and all that. And they will kill me. So again, this was out of fear Abraham did this. On account of my wife. Nevertheless, in truth, she is my sister. So it's not like he lied technically, because she is his sister. The daughter of my father. Okay, so it's kind of like a half-sister, I guess. Yeah.
Because Sarah was the daughter of Nahor, who died. Nahor was the daughter of Abraham's father. He was Abraham's brother. So being his daughter it's almost like you can call her his sister.
Ah, okay, yeah. But not the daughter of my mother.
Excuse me.
And she became my wife, and it was when the people erred after the works of their hands. Yahuwah did bring me near fear of himself from the house of my father, and I said to her, this is your favor which you can do for me. In every place through which we pass, say of me, he is my brother. And Abimelech took sheep and oxen and servants and handmaidens and gave to Abraham, and returned to him Sarah his wife. And Abimelech said, behold, my land is before you, where it is pleasant in your eyes, dwell. And to Sarah he said, behold, I have given 1,000 seline of silver to your brother. I guess that's a lot of silver. Behold, that is to you a veil, kind of interesting, of honor for my having seen to taken you. So he's trying to basically pay Sarah back for having to taken her for a wife unlawfully. That's basically what's happening here. And to see you and all that is with you, and concerning all whatever you have spoken, you are reproved. And Abraham prayed before Yahuwah, and Yahuwah made whole Abimelech and his wife. So now this, I think, is actually hinting that he might have caused basically his Abimelech wife's his wife not able to conceive, possibly, maybe closed her womb. And his maids, and they were revived, for Yahuwah had shut, for Yahuwah had shut all the wombs of the house of Abimelech on account of Sarah, the wife of Abraham. Wow. Yeah, a lot of stuff in a short chapter like that. So, wow. So we have another case where Abraham gets into a situation with another pagan king. Surprisingly enough, this pagan king actually has some righteousness to him. You know, he doesn't want to commit adultery. So it's very interesting. We can kind of compare that nowadays, where, you know, with believers and unbelievers, that stuff is happening. So it's kind of interesting. Back then, there was even some integrity with these rulers. Even though they weren't worshipers of the Father, they had a common understanding of right and wrong, you could say. So very interesting. It was very interesting that he shut basically the womb of Abimelech's wife for account of Sarah, and it seems like his other handmaids, or possibly hinting to Abimelech, maybe had other wives or concubines, that their wombs were shut. So very interesting. So we kind of get a context of why Abraham could say that Sarah was his sister, and it's not lying technically. And it's very interesting. So anyway, I don't know if Brother Tobiah or Sister Sadie or Sister Sally had anything to say, but anything to elaborate, guys, on the chapter?
I just find it so hard because when he says, you know, like he's related, like again, that makes it look kind of weird, you know what I mean? But we don't know all the, you know, geographic. Is it lineage down? Because no matter what, today, if anybody did that today, it would be weird. You know what I mean? We would consider that as off the wall. Or when a cousin marries a cousin, or, you know, and that happens today. And it does happen. Because, you know, the lineage, maybe it was the lineage of the bloodline that needed to be strengthened, and because isn't this where Yahushua HaMashiach comes from?
Yeah, I think that was part of it. You're onto something with that. It was part of it. I think that was part of it. You had, oh yeah, go ahead, Dennis. You had something to say.
Well, I remember we studied this chapter years ago, and we came up with Abraham knew he was going to be a father of nations. And he knew this had to come about. So why did he doubt himself or doubt Yahuwah in saying that Sarah was his sister?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, definitely. I think Abraham was just very afraid, and he said in the chapter he was afraid that he didn't think Abimelech was going to be a righteous king. He didn't know that beforehand.
Yeah.
And he even said, I was afraid that what if they don't fear Yahuwah?
Yeah,
So,
today. Nobody
today,
fears Yahuwah today.
That would actually make more sense what he said in that chapter to today. That
Yeah.
actually would be a better assumption today, in my opinion.
Absolutely, today.
Today I could see that happening more because the 80% of the nations that are out there don't fear the law of adultery or anything. So I could see that more as being a real reason today. But Abraham came across a couple of righteous kings, even though they were pagan. They had some righteousness to them. The Egyptian king too, was mad because he didn't let him know that she was his wife. So I mean, this has happened twice already, where Abraham was wrong, and these kings did not want to. Basically, they were prevented by Yahuwah with sleeping with Sarah because Yahuwah saw that they had pure hearts. They didn't want to commit adultery, So that's a decent lesson too. I saw a little bit of like overriding free will in this chapter a little bit. Where Yahuwah said, I caused you not to sleep with her, basically, not to go into her. So there, I saw a little bit of that, which I always talk about that all the time, free will versus predestination and overriding free will and all that. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I agree with Sadie. I think there's a bloodline issue too when you look at the land of Canaan and all of that, and possibly why they had to keep it within the family and stuff like that. Why, around that time period you had second and third cousins marrying, with the Israelites. So, I mean, you had family members marrying, and it wasn't considered sin. So I think there was a context to that, a necessity to that. You had a lot of tainting going around even after the flood. You still had giants, stuff like that. I think in Numbers.
Oh yeah,
Numbers
they exist
13,
today.
Mm-hmm. Numbers 13:33, when they get into the land, that's later on, but talks about there was men of great stature, the sons of Anak, and all that in the land of Canaan, and a lot of Canaan's descendants were giants. So you had to be careful who you married, even genetically, and that's possibly. Yeah. So I kind of agree with Sister Sadie on that. There was probably a reason why they kept it within a certain lineage, and why it became different. Then you had the incest law come in around the Mount Sinai and all that. So I think there was different times where Yahuwah had to make certain allowances for a certain purpose he had, and so I kind of go with that type of explanation, because I know some people will ask, some people that even read the book of Jubilees, they'll be like, oh, well, Cain married his sister and all that. And I'll be like, yeah, well, yeah. Yahuwah made allowances. That's all I would say to them. He made allowances. What was the greater will? Filling the earth, multiplying the seed of Adam and Kuah on the earth, or worried about incest? What was his greater will? That's what I would say.
That's all there was. All he could do was marry one of his sisters, and they were different. They're because of the huge gene pool that these two people had. Mm-hmm. The characteristics of siblings were not like they are today. Mm-hmm. They were very different. And yes, you could be attracted to one of your siblings back then. Today you wouldn't be. Today
you wouldn't, obviously. Once the actual law of Masha was administered, that commandment was physically put into the law of Masha and then administered by Masha to the Israelites. So that was a verbatim sin at that point. So no longer could you do that, because they didn't need to do that. They had a mixed multitude. There was no need to worry about lineages at that particular time, because lineages were spreading out. around that time too. So stuff changes, you know. But I think definitely genetically there was something to that, why he allowed that too, because you had crazy stuff after the flood. You had Canaan's lineage completely tainted almost. I mean, they had to worry about that too. Abraham, and when you get to the story of Jacob, which we haven't gotten to yet, Jacob's not allowed to marry certain women of certain lineages. So of course Esau didn't.
Not marry a Canaanite.
Yeah, his mother was like, if my son marries a Canaanite woman, I shall die. Or I'm like paraphrasing. He was like, she felt like she would die if that happened. So I mean, you got to also look at scripture, the cultural differences back then too, and what was really going on, what was the narrative that was going on, and what was happening with these gene pools. You had a lot of tainting going on because of the fallen angels, and the giants brought forth more giants, according to Numbers 13. So
Doug, I've got to check on my children. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. All right, let me just, we'll just pause for right now. We'll be right back. We're going to take a short intermission.